10, 9, ignition sequence start. All engines are running.
Liftoff, and the clock is starting.
The clock is operating. We're underway.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And as we engage the infinite improbability drive, it's time for Kerbalcast, episode 42. A Kerbal Life, the Kerbal Universe, and everything Kerbal.
The answer to the ultimate question.
The answer to the ultimate question of life.
The universe and everything.
The universe and everything is 42.
Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
Well, that's true. You always need to know the question before the answer. Joining us today in the CMP seat, that's Command Module Pilot
Nostromo.
And I am, of course, your LMP, Lunar Module Pilot, Biff Aldrin. And coming up in today's program...
Like two probes in a pod, Tylo and Bop. It's our progress in the game.
And it's also the end of my tour of the Kerbal solar system. Yay! Also in today's program, A Girl on the Mun, or as I call it, the Kerbal Girl A-Go-Go. Find out what happens in the latest episode of A Kerbal Life by Amy Kettlewell.
Kerbalcast. The board game? Listen as Biff and Nos roll the dice.
Wait a minute, why did you say it like it was a question?
Because it was the ultimate question.
Oh, that's true. 42.
Yeah, 42.
That's the answer. That's the answer.
If you can roll that, you'll win.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we actually, I kid you not, we actually have a board game. But we'll talk about that here in a minute. Also in today's program, this week's mission briefing features your letters, tweets, and another audio letter from Andy M.
Andy's keeping it going.
Yeah, he's rocking it, man.
You can't stop him.
He's rocking the mic. Okay, I have an announcement. Yeah. I have something very, very, very important to start today's program with. Okay? This is more important than the ultimate answer to the ultimate question. Are you ready?
Lay it on me. Did you find it?
Thank you.
You found it.
Well, I didn't find it. Someone sent us the link.
Oh, okay.
There's a video on YouTube, and we are going to put a link up. We have been talking about this. There is a video where somebody made fart sounds with the RCS.
Yeah.
And we have been trying to find it. We now have it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's only the short one. There's like several. There's one that goes on for, it seems like 10 seconds. I figured for good taste. Yeah. Anyway, aren't you glad?
I'm so happy.
You're so happy. Do you know what? This right here is absolute proof that no matter how snobby I try and act.
No matter how big of an intellectual we try to be.
I know. No matter how highbrow I try to act. The fact is that this just makes me laugh my head off. I mean, forget it. I can no longer claim to be this great intellectual. Sit around, well, the deeper meaning of 2001, and let's discuss Wes Anderson, and hey, listen to this, isn't that funny?
It's like Kurt Vonnegut talked about the most basic form of humor is seeing somebody fall over.
Yeah.
He's like, and you can't deny yourself the ability to appreciate that.
Right, yeah.
So
that's true. And see, and and Kurt Vonnegut is somebody that I would have tossed out as an example of my, my highbrow taste, because I just absolutely burned through Vonnegut.
Yeah.
I know, and it's a cliche, but when I was in high school, I just burned through everything by Kurt Vonnegut.
No, actually, it's funny. We have an age gap, but I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
In high school, that's what got me into reading on my own time instead of just what assigned reading.
Yeah.
Is I did a report on Slaughterhouse-Five, and so I started, The reason I did it is because it had a cool name.
Yeah,
it was on a book list of book report things I had to do. So
not if you lived it didn't have a cool name.
Yeah, and so I picked it. I was like, Slaughterhouse-Five. That seems awesome. And so I read it and I was like, this is amazing.
Slaughterhouse-Five by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't you knew the Nazis used the N-word that much.
Yeah, I know. It's not even applicable half the time. But yeah, so it's something I burned through a lot.
Actually, this is episode 42, which obviously leads us right into Hitchhikers. Vonnegut is what got me into Hitchhikers. Because, and I had mentioned this in a previous episode, Vonnegut's second book is called The Sirens of Titan, which reads very much like it's a Hitchhikers-ish type story.
Yeah.
And Vonnegut, of course, his style over the years, he went into all kinds of different areas. But I had read one of the earliest Vonneguts I had read, other than Slaughterhouse-Five, was Sirens of Titan.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into, because I was talking about Sirens of Titan, and somebody says, have you read Hitchhikers? Which, remember, I grew up pre-internet, so a lot of times how you found out stuff was somebody else said, you mentioned one thing and somebody else said, hey, did you know about... And that's what got me into Hitchhikers, was Vonnegut. Because it was Hitchhikers to me was very much an offshoot of Vonnegut. So anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's nice that we can, it's nice that episode 2 can tie into Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I am never going to get tired of that. Although for the audience, we may put that to the test.
Yeah. So let's see how much more you can bear. So
why is that so funny to me?
On the way over here,
you're not even going to venture a guess, are you?
No.
That's probably very smart.
On the way over here, I was like, oh man, it's a really nice day.
Yeah.
And I thought about bringing that up. I was like, hey, isn't today really nice? And then I was like, you know what? If I didn't drive over here, I would have never known it either. So,
yeah, that's true, because you would have never.
Yeah.
And then here you sit in my man cave.
Yeah, everybody will always tell you it's like, oh, it's it's a really nice day. So you have school or work or something oh, let's just call it off. It's a nice day. And the first thing I'd be like, yeah, it's a nice day. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to go inside and play some Kerbal.
Well, do you know, I would have not known it, and the reason why, and this is what I said we'd talk about a minute ago. I'm not kidding. I woke up this morning, and it was like, because I had thought to myself, I was listening to last week's episode, and we got off on a long discussion about board games, and I thought, listening to it, I thought, I never challenged Nos to make a Kerbalcast board game, which I really should have, because I was listening to us talk, and I thought, oh, that would have been perfect. I could have at some point challenged you, if you were going to make a Kerbalcast board game, what would it be? And I had kind of gone to sleep last night with that in my mind, was I'm going to challenge Nos to come up with a Kerbalcast board game.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning and I had the board game in my head.
Welcome to my life.
And so, and you had texted me and said, I'll be over in a couple of hours. Yeah. So I'm frantically. It's a good thing that nobody can see this, because this is as low tech as it gets.
You have good handwriting.
Well, so. I frantically, I took a ruler, a piece of paper, and I frantically just basically made some boxes, and I made some cards, and I hand wrote everything in. And do you want to try and describe this thing? Okay,
so it is a rectangular board. It's basically kind of like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, something like that.
It's a standard piece of typing paper, is what it is. Okay. It's cardstock.
Yeah, it's good cardstock.
Is what it is.
So it's a nice prototype. So you have the playing surface is a lap around the board. So there's basically the border of the board is all the moving spaces. There are 22 of them.
Yeah, it's how with Monopoly, Monopoly has the, it starts on the go.
Yeah, and it has a track that goes around the edge of the board.
Same thing. This one, except your starting square is launch.
In the middle, there are 2 areas that hold cards that are drawn whenever you land on certain spaces.
And the 2 categories are...
Homer to your mobile.
And...
Kettlewell mode.
What you do, each square, for example, if you land on a moon, you get 2 points. If you land on Eve, you lose 3 points.
Oh, yeah, of course.
If you land on Homer to your mobile or Kettlewell mode, you have to draw a card. We have squares. We have go off topic, lose a point. Mispronounce Patreon, lose a point. the killer one. She who must not be named.
Yeah.
Lose all points. That's the death square right there. We have the Amy K square, which automatically gets you 3 points.
Okay.
And then we have Nos Talks Board Games, which gets you 2 points.
Aw.
And I was thinking we would go one round around the board.
Yeah.
And just whoever has the number of the whoever has the most points at the end.
Okay,
of it.
just from looking at this, I have to say that the way you made it is actually kind of smart, because if you the average
It is?
well, we're rolling dice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, how many dice do we roll?
Just the one.
Just one? So one 6-sided die.
Well, the reason
which
is
funny.
because there's not that many spaces.
Yeah.
If we rolled 2, you might lap around the board the first time.
Yeah, like you could do it in 2 max rolls. So you did it with one die. The average die roll is going to be 3 or 4.
Right.
And if you were to roll a 3 every time, you would hit one of every kind of space, which is pretty good planning. Yeah, just by looking at the board.
You know, that it's interesting to me. I mean, understand literally. I woke up this morning with this idea in my head. I knew that I only had a few hours, so I frantically did this. And I kind of made a lot of this was just made up as I went, but. It's interesting to me that you look at it, and immediately you've analyzed it on a level that never even occurred to me.
I go to a lot of prototyping events,
right?
So like you'll play people's games that like they've made and they've play tested for a while, and so now it's getting played by designers, and so like I remember the first time I did that and had a designer play my game, and they just like, okay, here's a laundry list of things that are interesting about your game and things you might want to change. And I was like, oh, okay. And like looking at it, I was like, oh, this is really interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what, since we've talked about it, let's go. I wasn't sure where we were going to do this, but let's go ahead and do it.
Let's go do it now.
Because it doesn't,
what's funny is before I got over here, Biff texted me. He's like, hey, can you bring some dice?
Yeah.
And my first question was, how many sides?
Yeah.
I was like, I got 6 to 20.
How do I know?
We could have brought some 4s and 6s, and
so how many is this?
That's 6.
This is 6.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Which we've got. I cribbed 2.
Oh,
what do you call those things?
This is actually really interesting. I was messaged on Steam by Inspector Gadget, not the actual cartoon
I have
character.
Steam stories too. So
yeah, he messaged me. He said, "Have you played a game called Robo Rally?" And I was like, "Yeah, Richard Garfield's Robo Rally." Blah blah. And we talked about it for a little bit. And you actually used pieces from the Robo Rally game I let you borrow.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because you have Zoombot and Twitch.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'm pretty sure those are the names. I haven't played it in a long time, but I liked the robot.
Do you know what my names are for them?
What?
The short, fat one and the tall, skinny one. Okay,
yeah.
Which one do you want?
I got to go with the one that's mostly wheels, because I got to go with the one that looks like a rollie.
Okay, so you want the short, fat one.
Yeah,
so I get the tall, skinny one.
You get
the one time in my life where I get to be tall and skinny. Okay, so who rolls first? Tell you what, you roll first.
I'll roll first.
Since I'm the game.
Wait, no, we have to roll to see who goes first.
We do?
This could take hours. I'm moving 2. I got 2 minimus points.
Okay, so now keep track of it.
Okay.
Okay, so I see what you're doing. So you've got your okay, I've got mine. So all right, I got 3. So I got 2 Gilly points. Right?
Yeah. See, what's nice is it's not an electronic game, so we don't have to hear that song.
Bing. Okay, roll.
Her name is.
Her name. Oh, I need to call it.
No. Oh no! I went to Eve.
Oh, did you lose points?
I'm at -1 points.
You're at negative. Okay.
Okay.
So, I got 5.
All right, you got a 5. That's going to take you to
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, go off topic. I lost a point.
I think that's what we're doing now. What are you at? You're at 1.
I'm at 1.
I rolled it. Oh, that's a 1. The T-Rex is a 1.
Okay, Homer to your mobile. You got to pull a card.
T-Rex is on. Okay, so it's just the cards are point values.
The Homer to your mobiles are
okay.
Yeah, the cards are point values. But
Okay.
wait till you get to a Kettlewell mode card.
Okay. I'm currently at positive 1 points.
Okay.
Because I got +2 points from Homer to your mobile.
You know what? This is some fascinating radio.
Yeah, this is some great radio. I'm just going to describe everything.
There we go. Okay, I got 3. Oh no. Oh, no.
You made that space, and so you're destined for it.
I landed on She Who Must Not Be Named. I lost
Okay. So,
everything.
Well, were you at one point?
You know what? I'm going to have to beep what I'm about to say.
Okay, here's a question. Here's just a design question.
What?
If I'm currently in negative points, and I land on that space, and I lose all my points,
I didn't think about
do I
this.
lose all my negative points?
That's a good question. As a game designer, what would you do there? Hey, did you land on Kettlewell mode?
Yeah.
Okay,
I did.
pull a card.
Install life support. I get plus 3 points. So that
keep
takes
reading.
me to 4.
Keep reading.
And then I suffocate and I lose 5. So I'm at -1.
Yeah, Kettlewell mode. It always starts with a plus, and then there's a minus.
Oh, okay.
So it's always
is
do
the
something.
Minus always more than the plus?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes the minus is less.
Oh, okay. So,
But yeah, in your case, install life support. You got plus 3, but then you suffocated, so you got -5.
Oh, all right. Go ahead and roll.
Wow. You know what? Honestly, I would have rather suffocated than have landed on She Who Must Not Be Named. In every sense of that word.
Oh, hey.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Tylo plus 2, so I'm back up to 2. Boy, this is fascinating.
Yeah, this is just. Oh, I'm on Tylo also.
Are you on Tylo also?
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
interesting. Is my turn?
I'm at +1.
1.
This-
Okay, so I got Val.
It's
Plus 2.
I thought the points would be higher. Like I was like, oh, there's a lot of pluses on here, but I forgot this is Kerbal.
Yeah.
So at some point you got to crash and burn.
Are you homered your mobile?
Yep. Get another +2.
Okay. I'm at 4. What are you at?
3.
Okay, so I'm winning so far. I was thinking that whoever passes launch the first time,
Yeah.
whoever passes it when whatever point that's the end of the game.
Yeah. No,
So
that's
we're
good.
pretty close.
It's good stuff.
3.
Just so everyone knows.
2, 3.
We're
Oh,
close to
Amy K plus 3.
Oh, how many? You're at like 7?
I'm at 7.
This is. I got to change dice. These are bad dice.
Apparently.
Oh, 2.
2.
Another Kettlewell mode. Reach orbit +2. Run out of fuel -1. So 4.
I'm still at a 7.
I would have to. Oh man.
4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. That puts me past. Okay, so that's it. I'm done.
Now
at
you get
7.
your final points from your last one. So you
Do
get 2
I?
points from the one.
Okay, so
So-
I'm at plus 9.
If you're at 9, I'm at 4.
Go ahead and roll.
All right. Oh, I dead stopped on launch.
You did stop on launch. Okay, so
the
what do you
final
have?
score?
I've got 9.
I've got 4.
Okay. Well, obviously this is totally random.
My honest critique of the games, I think it's awful because I lost.
Yeah, I would imagine. Well, okay. Well, now, do you want to read the?
Yeah, I want to take a look at these cards.
Okay.
You put some. You did this morning.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I mean, literally.
Return
Okay.
from orbit +2. Explode on entry -3.
Yeah, these are. He's reading the Kettlewell
Yeah.
mode.
Land
cards.
on Mun +2. Stay upright
Yeah.
+1.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, so they're not all negative.
Keep going.
Find Easter egg +3. Forget to take pick -1. Oh, no one will believe you.
That's
Yeah,
right.
these are accept 2 contracts +1 or sorry +2. Fail 1 -1. Install FAR +1 and orbit +1. Kettlewell mode bonus +5.
Yeah. There's one.
yeah.
There's one card in there that could put you
Yeah,
up and over.
that's pretty extreme. Actually,
I'll tell you
I
what.
would need to clinch that.
I'll tell you what. Since I am the game designer.
Yeah,
Oh, all the Homer to your mumbles are just plus
+1 or
values.
2. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Since I am the game designer and I have infinite power in this space, I grant you the +5 Kettlewell mode card.
Oh, I don't know if I could survive it. Wait, does that mean we tie?
We tied.
What happens in a tie? Do we just
We tied.
we share the victory?
That's it. We
Oh,
share.
okay,
We
okay.
share the victory.
Well, I appreciate this. This was cute. This is
Okay. Now, all right. Here's my thing.
yeah.
My challenge to you. You have to go design a Kerbalcast board game.
Okay,
now.
so I have to have it ready by next episode or by the end of this episode.
No, I wouldn't expect you to do this. I mean, at least I had a couple of hours.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll try to have something ready by next episode.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many people do you think have completely skipped this part?
See, people have asked why we don't timestamp certain parts. It's like, we don't want you to miss this. This is the reason. This is the reason you listen.
This is some damn good radio right here.
To hear us play a board game in real time.
I cannot believe that
we have fans.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're people that we don't call mom.
Yeah.
No, I cannot believe that I designed a game and I put on there, there is a square on here, she who must not be named.
Yeah.
It is directly across. It occupies the opposite corner from the launch button. And it is lose all points.
Which means you'd have to roll complete average to get there.
Right.
I
cannot believe that me, of all the people, of the two people that have played this game, I'm the one that landed on that stupid square.
I'm just disappointed I didn't land on Nas Talks About Board Games.
You could have gotten a +2.
Yeah, I could have gotten a +2.
Yeah, I had fun with the Kettlewell modes because I was frantically trying to fill these out. So I was just coming up with anything I could think of. Like, and I was trying to remember some of the things that Amy had told me about. For example, one of the Kettlewell modes is land on the mun +3, fall over -1. Because she talks about how she falls over all the time.
Yeah.
So, by the way, if you've ever wondered what Amy sounds like as a Kerbal, be sure to listen to today's A Kerbal Life.
Oh, yeah.
Because we Kerbalized her.
I thought she did all the voices.
That's true. That's true.
I could have swore she was doing MC.
So that is Kerbalcast, the board game.
Well, this was really cute.
Anyway,
thank you for making this. This was fun.
We tied.
We're gonna have to take a picture of this and tweet it out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll take a picture
see what
and
we
tweet
were doing.
Okay. Your challenge is you have to design a Kerbalcast board game next time.
All right, I'll start working on something.
Okay. I wonder if I'll fall into the she who must not be name trapped again. Let's go ahead and go with our progress now. We had you had mentioned running into on Steam. Who was it that you ran into? I'm totally
It was
blank.
Inspector Gadget that was telling me about Robo Rally. Yeah.
Right, Inspector Gadget.
Which it is a fun game. You have to play the shortest possible way you can in order to get your time out of it. But
okay, before we do progress.
I thought there was something different on the computer when you reach for the space bar, and I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, it was that.
I got exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Okay, so tell me about your progress.
So, like 2 probes in a pod.
Thanks to everyone who indulged us playing the board game.
Yeah. For everyone still around. So,
Mom.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Mom. So, I went on, and this was one of my short weekends. The way my work schedule stacks up, I either get long whenever I'm back home. I either get a good amount of time or a short amount of time. So I got some decent time in. It was mainly I was cycling through contracts, just looking for ways to make a good amount of money. I want to reach double the amount of the VAB cost so I can upgrade it. And so I had a few that I got with my probes. Mooney is
Mooney?
Good old Mooney is going around the.
How do you spell that?
Moonie, I think. No, it was with a Y. Moony.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think there's a cult leader that might be
Yeah.
calling you about copyright infringement.
So Mooney's been going around the MUN because I wanted to call it money, but then it's not making me enough to count as that.
You know what they say about money? That's what I want.
Yeah. So I was having it does a really, really low orbit. Like I can see the surface. It's made for some really fun screen capture moments. But it's made me some money off of science around the MUN and a few temperature readings over certain destination areas.
Right.
And it's had a good run, but it's out of fuel. And so it's just kind of cruising. It has solar panels and stuff, so anytime I need science from space around the MUN, I have that taken care of.
I need to make a card out of that and call it Kettlewell mode.
I went and so then I had Proby 1.
Proby?
Proby 1, Probie, Proby 1, going around Kerbin, and I was trying to use it for space, and then I realized that was he was pretty early on.
You know, it may have been the drugs that they had me on, but I think that's what they pulled out when they did my first colonoscopy.
Oh, Proby 1?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the doctor called it.
Oh, it's a good thing they didn't get to like Proby 4 or 5 or something. So,
at least it wasn't a measurement of feet.
Yeah. So this thing had a wacky orbit, and I kind of used the fuel in it to get it somewhat closer, and then I realized the only thing it had on it was 3 mystery goo containers, which don't refresh. Mm-hmm. And I had 1 left, so I used that for science around Kerbin.
They don't refresh?
In my experience, no.
If you transmit, they don't, but...
Yeah, I transmit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a probe, so I was transmitting those instead of...
I'm with you.
So I didn't have a way to get the goo out and put it and re-close it or whatever. So that was an early probe mistake. So I did that, and then I did a harsh deorbit of it for fun. Mm-hmm. And so those are my 2 probes, and now I'm working on a pod, and that pod is going to be my Mun lander.
Okay.
Yeah, because it will make me a decent amount of money from the Mun contract, and I'm going to have him just set up camp there, so anytime I need surface samples or anything. I don't really have the exact stuff yet, but I may look into... I haven't looked into this at all, but actually rovers.
Right.
Yeah, getting a rover up there and like driving a rover around. So, I don't know. I've never done it. Closest thing I ever had was that rocket car, and that went spectacular.
Well, you can do some Evel Knievel maneuvering on the Mun.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to count it as a rover, I had that Rolly that was up there once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also nice because instead of using the Stay Putnik,
you've had a Rolly everywhere.
That may be like the biggest accomplishment is whenever I have a Rolly on every every celestial body. Yeah, so I now have
on Eve,
the Octo whatever,
right?
The probe core,
the Octomom.
Yeah, the Octomom. The only thing that I'd used it for before was whenever I stacked 3 on top of each other, so it could properly have a girder on it for the Rolly that I put on the Mun.
Right.
But those. If I understood the description right, it has an SAS module in it,
right?
Which is the thing that the Stay Putnik did not. Mm-hmm. So that will be really nice because half the reasons, or most of the reason I lost fuel and was not as fuel efficient as I needed to be, is because the thing wasn't stable. So I was constantly like, hitting all the keys trying to keep the thing centered. So I look forward to not having to do that ever. So.
As an aside, some of the names in the game, things like Stay Putnik, I mean, stuff like that, they really went the extra step.
Yeah.
To come up with some of these neat names and some of the descriptions they come up with, here's something we found by the side of the road. We can't guarantee it works.
Yeah. It's like...
So you had another Steam party this week.
Yeah. I actually, well, no, I didn't have anyone watch me this week. I played at some weird hours, but I did have a few Steam conversations with a couple of them. So yeah, if anyone messaged me, like if I'm on and I'm not like
responding,
I'm not responding. I'm sorry. If I can and you're on, then yeah, I'll totally respond. So
I have to say a couple of apologies too, because there's been a couple of times this week where I've sat down at my laptop and. You'll see that somebody had tried to message you, and then, it's like, 2 hours later, person logged off.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, ooh.
That happens. Sorry to anyone. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I've had somebody's like, hey, have you guys recorded the latest episode yet? And I was like, no, we do that in a couple hours. Like, this person's been offline for 5 hours. I'm like, oh, well, see you soon.
What, sometimes, if I'll get a Steam party going, sometimes someone will ask me a question and I'll hit the wrong tab and respond. So I'm sure the person who's not, who has nothing to do with the conversation at all, gets this response like, what? What exactly is that?
Yeah.
I try really hard to remember to set my status to either away or offline. But if I bring up Steam at all, And like if I open the lid on my laptop, that seems to log me into Steam. So I don't always realize that I've been logged in, even if I'm not sitting there. Sometimes I do things that log me in without realizing it. So anyway, if you have tried to text me and have not gotten a response, my apologies. You were talking to the laptop itself.
Yeah. And the laptop's just not very talkative.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're getting so much closer to that robo-apocalypse.
Yeah.
I did have a little Steam party going this week, and I really honestly felt bad for the people that logged in because I wasn't doing anything.
I've had people, anyone who's ever logged in and be like, oh, I wonder what Knots is up to. I bet it's super interesting. Yeah. And I'm doing like landed at Kerbal contracts where it's like I hit launch, then hit a button, and then go back to the VAB.
Yeah. Well, I did, the last time we spoke, do you remember I had landed on Tylo and I had come back and I had docked with my orbiter. And literally that's where we stopped. I had just stopped there and then we did the podcast.
Yeah.
And I told you that my next step was I needed to go to Bop. And once I did that, I was done.
Yeah.
It's funny that nobody logged in to watch me go to Bop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bop completed my tour of the solar system. That was the last possible place I could land on. And I went to Bop and back, and nobody was there. But then when I was later goofing around trying to come up with like a maneuverable tanker and failing miserably, that's when I had like 8 people watching me. And I was thinking, oh, this has got to be so boring. Because I put this thing up in orbit, and I couldn't, it wasn't maneuverable at all. I could barely get it to, I'd try and make it go left, and, an hour later it would start to move in that direction. And the whole time I'm thinking, these poor people. And I reverted back to vehicle assembly because I was trying to, build something else that I thought would be more maneuverable.
Yeah.
But actually, my saving grace came from North Star. Because while I was trying to build a new ship, North Star logged in, and I have been wanting to watch him play because I know that he plays with like real solar system and things like that. And the minute he logged in, I said, hey, can I watch you play? And he was like, sure. And so I said, without even asking him, I said to everybody else, hey, let's go watch North Star.
Yeah.
And so, of course, North Star boots up his game, and he's like, who are all these people?
I brought some friends over.
Hope you
don't mind.
Yeah, you got any pizza, man? Hey, can we spend the night?
Yeah.
Hey, we accidentally let your dog out.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
But I said last week that I had made the comment a long time ago that if I landed on everything possible in the game, I would feel like an advanced player. And I said last week that I did not feel like an advanced player, even though I had done that.
Yeah.
Boy, do I not feel like an advanced player. After watching North Star, oh my God.
Yeah.
He was building, we logged in when he had to restart his computer. We all joined him, and he had taken a contract to put a satellite in geosynchronous orbit. He uses so many mods that, first of all, I've never seen a copy of Kerbal take that long to load in my life.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there just watching all these names go, because you can see the files that it's loading.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of times they load real fast and you can't read them, but sometimes they're slow enough to where you can read them. And I could see all these mod names going by. And finally, somebody in our group said, wow, he likes a little Kerbal with his mods. Yeah, he was using like Real Solar System. He's using the... what's the one where you can design the parts? I can't remember what it's called now. Of course, I'm totally blank on it, but you can design your parts. He had all these data screens up. It was like sitting in an advanced calculus class.
Yeah.
I mean, I could barely see the ship he was building because there were so many data screens. Somebody in the group nicknamed it the Needle. And then somebody else pointed out, no, that actually looks more like a rifle bullet. Because he used the mod where he was literally designing these tapered tanks to where the very tip of his rocket looked very much like the bullet part of a rifle bullet. Yeah, because you know how what we say is a bullet is really the bullet is only one part of it.
And then there's the
bullet,
casing,
there's the casing, the cartridge. I mean, it literally looked like one of those. I mean, the very tip of it looked like the bullet, and then the rest of it was tapered and flared out to a wider base, and it really truly did look like a rifle bullet. And he had put little landing legs on the bottom of it, and somebody said, well, that's going to give you some drag. And he said, yeah, that's my point. I'm designing it so that this will create a certain amount of drag and keep it upright. And he was putting different types of fuel in different stages because, the heavier fuels are going down here, and the lighter weight fuels are going up here. And, and it took him a long time to design and build this thing. Then he puts it on the launch pad and fuels it. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Which this is where I could tell that North Star is a born professor. Mm-hmm. Because at some point in there, he would pause occasionally. Okay, so does anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
And we're like, no.
Watching you play video games.
Ew. Well, do you know why none of us had any questions? I don't think any of us understood what he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was designing on such an advanced level. This is, again, going back to me saying I'm a mid-level player and I do not feel advanced. I play this as a game. Kerbal to me is a game, and I build the ships that I build to the best of my knowledge. But I enjoy flying, and I enjoy orbiting, and I enjoy going places and landing and exploring and coming back, and I enjoy that part of it. I am not ever going to play on North Star's level.
Yeah.
Because he is designing his little rifle bullet ship was so tiny, and yet it went so much further and so much faster than anything of that size I would have ever built. Because he's building things on a technically advanced level that I will never reach, simply because I don't have a background in that.
Yeah.
He's well-versed in several disciplines, and he's using those and bringing them into his ship designs. So that's what I call an advanced player. I would encourage anybody, North Star is probably going to scream bloody murder when he hears this part. I would encourage anybody, if you see him on Steam, his username is NorthStar1989. Find him, friend him, and watch him.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is when I got done watching him and logged out, the next time I came to the game and started playing, I started designing. And I immediately was designing much more efficient, smaller, more tapered rockets. Just watching him, it's like I absorbed some lessons, even though I didn't necessarily understand what he was doing on the level he did. I did manage to pick up some little pointers. One thing that sometimes I don't always, sometimes I change one thing without making the requisite change on something else. When I installed FAR, do you remember a long time ago we had talked about how the basic, and we don't know if this is still the case, but we talked about the basic stock Kerbal game. Everything that you put on your ship, whether it's aerodynamic or not, it basically goes, that's drag. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, FAR changes that. Fins suddenly make a difference. Cones, nose cones, make a difference. Aerodynamic shapes make a difference in FAR. Again, I don't know if Squad has changed that in the base game. My understanding was way back when that whatever you put on there added a certain amount of drag, regardless of the shape.
Yeah.
When I installed FAR, it never occurred to me that the designs that I had been making, because once I learned that everything was just extra drag, I stopped doing fins and I stopped doing nose cones and things like that. Well, I installed FAR and then did not make the next mental leap, which was now you need to go back to nose cones and fins and things like that. So that was another thing I picked up from watching North Star was I need to make more aerodynamic ships. And I learned how to make smaller, more powerful ships. So again, I would recommend find him on Steam if you can, friend him, and watch him play, because you will, even just by osmosis, you will absorb some kind of lessons.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you get that when you watch other people?
Yeah. I've watched anytime I've watched somebody, it's kind of like, even if I'm not well versed in everything that they're doing, I'll see something that I'll take away with me whenever I go to play, in my own game.
Well, you see what I'm talking about. It isn't that you necessarily understand it, but it's almost like you just kind of absorb the lesson.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever it's like you'll see a certain way that they'll pilot their ship, or like whenever they launch, you'll see them. You'll just take away some part of it, and so if you ever watch it again, you'll take another part. Or whenever you start doing something that's closer to what it is, you'll remember things that you saw and like, oh, that's why they did it this way, and it could keep you from doing whatever it is that they did previous that didn't work for them. So,
although one thing I did think was funny though was some people were asking him questions, and he was saying, "No, I don't play at that insane level of difficulty. You're thinking of Amy." Which, to me, it's like North Star already plays at an insane level of difficulty.
Yeah.
He's apparently looking at Amy going, she plays at he's looking at her like I look at him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that crazy.
I wanted to see how far Amy would go if she didn't put all those restrictions on. If she just played vanilla Kerbal.
Oh, my God.
Like, how far she would go.
Honestly, we would have to call her Empress Amy. Mm-hmm. Because if without the restrictions, Amy K would have taken over the Kerbal solar system by now.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. And her home probably would be like on the sun.
Yeah.
The sun would be like, oh, we better not heat her up too much.
Yeah, I gotta,
she might get mad at us.
I got some rovers driving around the gas giants. You know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really, if Amy took all of her restrictions away.
Yeah.
And, like, for example, played Sandbox.
So if she wasn't, like, playing Harrison Bergeron mode.
Yeah. There's a Vonnegut reference. Very good. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, she, last week when I did that little interview segment with her where she reviewed Real Solar System, she was talking about how difficult it was to do certain things in career mode with Real Solar System. And I said, because knowing that to her Sandbox is a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
I figured, okay, I'm going to hedge this a little bit. I said, well, what about science mode? And I mean,
the great compromise.
It was like she just emasculated me on the spot. It was like, yeah, right. Like I would ever do that.
Yeah.
You wuss bag. I was like, okay. One last thing that I will say. Do you remember last week I talked about I wasn't sure what I was going to do as far as getting to Bop. I wasn't sure if I was going to send a fresh ship or I was going to use the same lander. I ended up using the same lander.
Oh, okay.
The reason is, this is a plug for Kerbal Academy again. The reason is when I went to the Kerbal Academy subreddit and I called up the transfer calculator, my ship that was in orbit around Tylo was in exactly the perfect position to make a transfer from Tylo to Bop. Mm-hmm. I had read that Bop was difficult to get to because its elliptical plane or its orbital plane is slanted compared to the rest of the Joule system. And also because it's so small and its gravity is so small, it's very difficult to get an orbit around it.
It's so wonky shaped.
Nothing.
Really?
I made an absolutely perfect transfer. I did it in 3 steps because it became real obvious real quickly that trying to do a transfer from Tylo to Bop in one maneuver was very wasteful. Mm-hmm. So I actually did it in 3 steps. I made a transfer out of Tylo's orbit into an orbit around Joule. I made another maneuver that aligned my orbital plane with that of Bop's. And then I made another one that brought me into a low periapsis over it.
Yeah.
And when I got to that periapsis, I burned retrograde and boom, I had an orbit. I mean, it was that quick.
Wow.
So I did it in 3 very short steps. I did not waste a lot of fuel. The lander, I barely used any fuel on the lander at all to touch down and get back.
Mm-hmm.
That's how small the gravity is.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost have to kind of push yourself to go down.
Were you using your normal lander or your monopropellant lander?
I was using the monopropellant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the gravity on that thing is so tiny that you almost have to kind of push to make yourself descend.
Yeah, stick to it.
Yeah. And I landed and I got out and walked around and got back up and, rendezvoused with my ship. And then I didn't have enough fuel in my orbiter to get back home. Mm-hmm. So I had to bring in another ship.
Yeah. Call a taxi.
Yeah. I called a taxi, and refueled that and then went back home. And that did it. I have now officially been to every single system. Yay.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you. But I still don't think of myself as an advanced player. You know what, though? Do you know where I went that was the most fun of all?
What?
Her name is
Yeah, I should have seen that one coming. Honestly.
You mentioned Gilly.
Yeah, I know. I brought it on myself.
You did.
What is what do you think will be the next thing that you've done that you're going to go on to do? Because you've been to you've been everywhere, or try to build.
It's okay. The answer to that question is actually in the tweets.
Yeah.
When we get to them,
okay.
but I will mention it now. Do you remember last week I said I wasn't sure if I was going to try and get the rest of the asteroids or if I was going to go Easter egg hunting?
Uh-huh.
Well, somebody tweeted in and pointed out that the asteroids are all randomly generated, so there is no such thing as going to all of the asteroids.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go to all the asteroids. I have tried. I am Easter egg hunting, which is much more difficult than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
You can find. You can go to the wiki and you can find where they're all located.
Yeah.
And there are even pictures of where they're located. And of course, I'm doing this is the MUN. I'm trying to find these on the MUN. And there's 2 things I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the monolith, and I'm trying to find the Neil Armstrong Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
There is a dark area of soil surrounding a crater. And what it looks like to my eyes, it looks like a wolf's head, and the crater is in the wolf's mouth. That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured it will be so easy to see that from orbit and then land, because the Neil Armstrong Memorial and the monolith are both towards the bottom of the crater that's in the wolf's head mouth.
Yeah.
I have spun around the MUN more times than I can count, and I can't see that anywhere. I have no idea where it is. I don't know if it's an old picture.
Yeah.
Or if it's just I don't know if it's a trick of the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's a different soil type.
I mean, do you have latitude, longitudinal coordinates?
I've got that, and now I'm going to have to kind of figure out how to... Because I've got Kerbal Engineer will give you your coordinates.
ScanSat.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
You can map it.
The other thing that I'm doing this week, after watching some other people play, I decided to go ahead. I'm gonna mess around with remote tech now.
Okay.
You remember that's the one where you have to create communications networks.
Mm-hmm.
I have installed that. I've got 2 ComSats in orbit now in geosynchronous orbit. I don't really understand what I'm doing yet.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to mess around with that. And the ship that I have that's going around the MUN right now, desperately looking for the wolf's head,
mm-hmm.
which I know someone thinks they just stumbled into a Game of Thrones podcast.
Yeah.
But I've got that is a manned ship. I restarted after I got back from Bop. What I did was I wiped out all my game saves and I started over because I was at the point where when I would go to save, it would come up and it would be save like, save number 95.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it's about time to
start anew.
Yeah, and I mean, since I'm in Sandbox, it's not like I'm losing any progress.
Yeah, you're absolutely, yeah.
So I just kind of reset everything. And so I've got Jeb back. And so Jeb, Bob, and Bill are currently orbiting the Mun. And I went ahead, like I said, I installed Remote Tech. In case anyone is curious, I wrote this down. These are the mods that I am currently using in the game. Active Texture Management, which helps a lot with performance, I will say. Deadly Reentry, Enhanced Nav Ball, FAR, which is the aerodynamics one. I installed Kerbal Alarm Clock last week.
Oh, okay.
Once you figure out how to use it, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I haven't missed a maneuver node or a periapsis or an apoapsis yet. Kerbal Alarm Clock, I just said that. Kerbal Engineer, KW Rocketry, which to me, that is one of the most essential mods. There's just a lot of the parts that I use are KW Rocketry. I love that mod. And I just installed Remote Tech.
Cool.
So anyway, that's my list of mods.
Yeah.
That's it's nowhere near as punishing as Kettlewell mode. Biff mode is I guess it's for the self-proclaimed wuss bags.
No. I think it's
Amy thinks I'm a wuss bag.
Oh.
It's okay.
You're weak.
You're weak. If you're not playing extreme. Anyway, so are we done with our progress?
I think so.
Okay, very good. Well, let's move on. We'll be right back in just a moment.
And now your letters and the latest news in the mission briefing.
Okay, I have a question for you.
What's that?
You gonna play another game of Kerbalcast? I don't blame you if the answer is
Kerbalcast
no.
plays you.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, we tied because the game master gave you. I forgot about that +5.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that was there because I could toss it at you. It's like, go for it. Let's see. Do you have the first letter?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Sure, why not?
This is from Fell Knight. Hello, Biff, Nos, and Amy. Biff, I had no idea that you wanted to become the Korean Taylor Swift. Nos, to your question...
That's the second time She Who Must Not Be Named's gotten me today.
Nos, to your question about specific orbits being seen in map view, even though you aren't accepting the contract, it will show those for any contracts which are also available. You actually have to decline the contract to get rid of them on the map screen. I actually was messing around declining contracts, waiting for ones that were more feasible to cycle in, and I noticed that some of those did disappear, so thanks for that.
Interesting.
Regarding the altitude milestones you have discussed, I have an easy solution. Simply set that contract up as a multiple milestone contract, similar to the first Visit the Mun contract. Reduce the reward for each milestone, then allow them all to be collected on the same flight if applicable. That'd work really well. Amy, I want to give you props on A Kerbal Life. It is absolutely brilliant, and the voice acting for Jeb and MC are just perfect.
Yay.
Fly fast, fly hard, fly far, Fell Knight. And please tell me that for episode 42 there'll be something about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Don't panic.
Yeah.
There was. Yeah, a couple of folks had asked that we do an after the credits about. Do you know the thing about as much as I love Hitchhikers?
Yeah.
What would we say?
I don't have much to. Yeah, I don't.
It's all been said.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing we talk about is our personal experience, but that's really just going to be the book and the movie.
Yeah.
Us talking about the book and the movie.
Well, and I'm working my way through the radio. Drama.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like that's the I don't know if you noticed or not, the little soundbite that we played at the very beginning is a hybrid of the same moment, except there's the movie version of it, which they got Helen Mirren to do the voice of Deep Thought.
Yeah.
And the radio play. And it's a hybrid of it switches between the movie version and the radio play version.
Yeah.
Back and forth. So that's what it is. It's a hybrid of the two. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, we did some hitchhikers. We're fans. The only thing is if we did an after the credits, I mean, seriously, it'd probably be 30 minutes of us going, hey, do you remember the part where they turned into talking furniture?
Yeah, and like, hey, remember the part when
that was cool.
Oh, Alan Rickman was a really good Marvin. It's like and I just kind of it was like it'd be a little echo chamber is what it would be. It's just us talking back and forth about. So if we could say anything about it, is we highly suggest that you read and watch and listen to it.
Right.
So,
there's Alan Rickman. I can't think of a single role that he would not be perfect for.
Yeah.
I mean, Alan Rickman to me is like, he's one of those at the pinnacle type of actors.
Yeah, I was like, whenever they were talking about, doing the remake for Annie, I was like, he
could be Annie.
He could have been Annie.
He could be Annie.
Yeah.
Well, those idiots that were screaming about how, Annie's not black.
Oh, yeah.
Those same people could start screaming, Annie's not an older British gentleman.
You guys will always find something. Those guys will always find something to be angry about.
And you know what I say to that?
Sometimes you suffer from overplaying a sound effect, but I don't think we've hit that limit yet with this one. But we're getting close.
Okay, well, let me move on, and I need to get this set up. Our next one, because we actually have a YouTube video we have to talk about.
Oh, okay.
This next one, this comes from McComas, and the title here is Eve Has Been Cheating on You. Dear Biff and Nos, Biff, it's a good thing you gave up on Eve because she's been cheating on you with me. Well, of course.
How dare he?
You know what, though?
You can have her.
You know what?
Say, we're moving on to bigger stuff. We got things going on. We're not going to be held down by the past.
Yeah.
We're moving forward.
I'm off onto a younger planet now.
Yeah. Younger, smaller, a little weirdly shaped.
I know. Eve is one of those. She's like one of those, it's like, dude, I've been cheating on you with your girlfriend. And it's like, okay, my girlfriend's a psychotic.
Yeah.
So actually...
This is pretty
normal.
You
just inherited more trouble. Yeah. You just did me a favor.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. So yeah. Yeah. McComas, you can have Eve. I tried to do a round trip from Eve in a previous save and never managed to land without damaging my ship. Bad design. On my latest career, I decided to give it another shot. The first challenge was building a rocket with the over 11,000 Delta V needed to reach orbit from sea level. You said that you were having trouble, and I found the trick was to build some hefty second and third stages. I put a skipper with plenty of fuel in the second stage and a poodle engine with plenty of fuel in the third stage. Okay, this is completely off topic.
Okay.
But he said skipper. I have trivia for you.
Okay.
Gilligan's Island.
Uh-huh.
What was the skipper's name? They only said it once.
Oh,
they said it in the pilot episode.
Oh, I'm never going to know that.
The skipper and the professor both have names. They only said it once. It was in the pilot episode. It's while they're sitting on the beach. It was a black and white episode. They're sitting on the beach listening to the radio. The radio's talking about how they were lost, and it gives their names.
Oh.
Do you know the skipper's name?
I don't know. I've watched Gilligan's Island. I don't think I've ever seen the pilot, though.
Jonas Grumby.
Jonas Grumby is the name of the skipper.
Mm-hmm.
What about the professor?
Roy Hinkle.
Roy Hinkle.
I kid you not.
Huh. The more you
know
didn't
what?
need to know.
Take away a point. Went off topic. Now that I have a rocket that reaches orbit on Eve, I needed to make it able to land. Well, my rocket was fairly narrow, so I built outrigger landing legs using various structural elements and struts in order to widen the base. I have attached a YouTube link to the recording of its first test flight. I look forward to hearing you describe it. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Well, shoot, I didn't start.
It didn't work that way.
This didn't go well. Oh, okay, I did it. Well, I can't see anything so far.
Yeah.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Here, make it...
Oh. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Oh, my God.
Oops, still blown up.
Oh, this is bad.
Yeah, that's story of my life right there.
Oh, all right. Needs more stability in the middle. Got it.
Yeah. This is for those of. We'll put a link to this on our. Ooh, listen to the music.
Oh yeah.
We'll put a link to this. This rocket, he put it on the launch pad. Have you ever had? Good Lord. I feel like I should be wearing like shades and one of those little hats. Well, this is appropriate since I went to Bop.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm going to Bebop.
Yeah, Beatnik Bop.
Yeah, Beatnik Bop, thank you. I am a tree, and a tree am I. Now, it was, you've done this before, where you've built a rocket, and you put it on the launch pad, and you haven't strutted it properly, so the thing basically just collapses in on itself and explodes.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what we saw, so... Wow.
This is a highly visual podcast we're doing.
Yeah.
Episode 40.
Apparently.
Maybe that's our big thing. We're doing like a Douglas Adams thing where we have a podcast that's all visual.
That's right. That's right.
Shadow puppets are next. Just you guys wait.
Well, it is infinitely improbable. So we're covering the improbability.
Yeah.
I love this. You want to talk about this is the master of understatement. After you've just heard the video of that thing exploding, right?
Yeah.
Next sentence. For the record, I never ignited the first stage.
Oh.
Yeah, because it blew up.
It blew up.
Back to the drawing board. Stay frosty. Build, explode, repeat. P.S. NOS. If you want to get rid of the proposed contract orbits, try hovering your mouse in the upper center part of the screen and deselect the icon that represents proposed contracts. At least I assume there is an option. I am not in front of KSP right now.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what he's talking about?
No, but I'll look it up. Like whenever I don't know if that's an option, but if it were, I would have already used it. But I don't know. We'll see if it's there.
You know what I think's funny is he said, stay frosty, and then below it he said, build, explode, repeat.
Yeah.
Do you know what that reminds me of? That Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Tomorrow, where they changed the title after the fact.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. You were looking at me like I lost my mind.
I was like, I don't remember Top Gun doing that.
Yeah, no, the name of the movie is Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And apparently it did not do as well at the box as they were expecting. So for the home video release, I mean, this is not a joke. They renamed the movie.
What?
Edge of Tomorrow was renamed Live, Die, Repeat. If you go buy it, like if you go buy it at the store, on the box it says in big letters, Live, Die, Repeat, and then at the very bottom it says Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh.
I've never seen anybody in my life, I've never seen a movie get renamed after the fact.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah, I've seen the, where they've had the, like, dual titles, like Birdman, or, the, Virtue of Ignorance. Or
well, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's intentional. Mm-hmm. No, this was maybe it'd have done better if we had a different title.
Yeah.
Continuing on now, we had mentioned at the top that we have another audio letter from Andy M. So let's go ahead and get to that.
Hi, Biff and Nos. This week I decided to try and complete the MUN contract. This involved getting into orbit, transmitting science, landing, and then transmitting some more science. I thought I would do this with a probe, therefore I wouldn't have to worry about getting it back. I modified a previous design by increasing fuel tank sizes. I also tried removing the fins so I could have legs on my landing probe. This was all part of trying to keep down to 30 parts. And it might have worked if I was on stock, but not with 4. So after many spinning out, crashing and general destruction, I removed some of the struts on my rocket and put some fins back on again. It was at this point then that I was joined by Hayward Floyd for the evening. It was a bit nerve-wracking at first, taking on a viewer, but we'll see how I got on. So, takeoff went well, and I prepared to burn to circularize the orbit. Possibly due to chatting, and definitely due to children, I got slightly distracted at this point, and ended up having to burn through the upper atmosphere while trying to get my apoapsis up. But it worked, and I managed to get round to the point where I could get my way onto the MUN. Now, the careful bit I had to remember here was that, due to the lack of parts, I only had one solar panel. So I made sure that I pointed this towards the sun, because after all, I've never made the mistake of not doing that. So, I encountered the MUN and did a burn at the periapsis to obtain an orbit. This ticked the first box of the contract. From the apoapsis, I did a burn to bring me into contact with the MUN. This did lead to a number of questions from Floyd about my practice of coming in from high orbit. But that's the way I normally do things. Probably shouldn't, but that's the way I do. So on the way down, I did a temperature reading and transmitted the data back to fulfill the second part of the contract. Despite my earlier inefficiency, fuel was actually doing quite well. So I managed to get down to a couple of thousand meters before it ran out. I had stopped all horizontal motion and was falling straight down. So I jettisoned the engine, engaged the landing gear and the RCS. Now this was the untried bit. I only had 2 RCS control thrusters on my probe, so I applied some RCS to control my descent. The good news was, it stopped my acceleration towards the ground. The bad news, I was descending at 30 meters per second. This scenario had never ended well for me before in the past, but we'll see how it went. And then to make matters worse, I noticed as I got closer, the ground was also sloped. There wasn't really anything to do other than cross my fingers, well, the ones that weren't pressing the RCS button continuously, and the probe hit the ground and bounced. After some more bouncing and frantic adjustments, eventually came to rest. This ticked the third box of the contract of landing on the Mun. It appeared that one leg was stuck in the ground, so I tried an adjustment for a better picture, but it wasn't working. So I thought I would try and get to the bottom of the slope and onto level ground. The RCS was giving me just enough lift to travel down the slope, and things were going quite smoothly. Then I hit the slope, flipped it over, and crashed back into the ground with a bang. Well, the probe seemed to be intact, and I wasn't sure what had exploded. After all, there was only 13 parts to check at this stage, so it shouldn't have taken long. Eventually, I noticed one of the temperature gauges was missing. I needed to transmit science to complete the contract. So I right-clicked on the remaining temperature gauge and allowed me to collect and send data. That was all 4 parts of the Mun contract complete. On further inspection, I realised the reason the lander was at a funny angle was the fact that I must have broken the landing leg on the initial landing. I then went on to do a contract to put a probe around Minmus. The first attempt failed, mainly because I forgot to orientate the solar panel towards the sun. But second attempt was hugely successful. I've decided that having Haywood Floyd watch me might actually be my lucky charm in getting things done successfully. Homing to your mobile, Andy M.
Very good. Okay, yeah. I have another drinking game to propose.
What's that?
When you hear Andy M's kids... his letters are so fun.
Yeah.
I loved, and it's also kind of neat to hear the little background details. Mm-hmm. So, Andy, thank you for sending those in. You mentioned Haywood Floyd watched you. We happen to have a letter from Haywood Floyd, and that's coming up here in a minute. But again, audio letter, Andy M., thank you so much. Folks, if you want to send them in to us, just send them to us MP3. We certainly love to hear from you. What's our next letter?
I have a story from Nathania.
Nathania.
I do want to share a cool story mission that I played way back whenever I first started. It may have still been with the demo version. I was playing with the impending impact scenario. He later on corrected it and said it was a different scenario that he was doing.
Oh, okay.
But the one where you have a small spacecraft and you have to avoid crashing into the Mun. I decided to buzz the surface of the Mun, so I adjusted my orbit so that my periapsis was only a couple thousand meters up. I really enjoyed the view of the moon's surface whipping beneath me, which with the probe that I'm actually doing, that's one of the coolest parts. Is you just see how you put on the time warp as fast as you can and just watch it just like zoom by.
Well, it's like the difference when you see an airplane way up in the sky. It doesn't look like it's moving very fast.
Yeah,
you get one buzzing over your head, it's moving real fast.
That's my theory on why the Sonic the Hedgehog games didn't translate well to 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because okay. So,
because it wasn't side scrolling.
Sorry, Nathania. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog right now.
Minus a point. We went off topic.
So the reason it seems so fast and cool and actiony in 2D is because imagine you're standing on the side of a road and a car goes by you at 50 miles an hour. It's going to be going kind of fast. Whenever it translated into 3D, you follow behind Sonic the Hedgehog,
right?
And
so everything's coming towards you.
It's like being in a car going 50 miles an hour. It feels manageably fast. Like you see everything coming and you see it pass by instead of seeing everything whiz by in a moment.
You know, when Einstein was a file clerk and he was thinking of relativity, he was thinking of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
That's what was helping him.
You know, his hair started to look like that near the end. So
yeah, because it was brushed back.
Yeah, because he's got to go fast.
This and other incorrect bits of history available on Kerbalcast.
I really enjoyed, we're back to Nathaniel's letter, I really enjoyed the view of the moon's surface whipping by beneath me. I decided it'd be fun to pop outside and look around from the ladder, of course, pulling a bob maneuver. Yeehaw! I was noticing that the land seemed to rise and fall beneath me as I flew over craters and hills, but my periapsis was at a couple thousand meters, so I didn't think I'd have any trouble. Sadly, this was before I understood that it is measuring your altitude from a datum rather than from the true surface level. The ground suddenly got a lot closer as I passed over some mountain range and highland. The view from my ladder was magnificent, but then the bottom part of my spacecraft explodes, and the rest of the ship goes into a crazy spin, and Jeb is thrown from his ladder. I clipped the very top of a mountain. But Jeb doesn't panic. His spacecraft is still largely intact, though spinning like crazy, and all he has to do is get back inside and he'll be safe. I was still pretty new at the game, so I wasn't too good at EVA control, and it is especially difficult when your target is tumbling. Nevertheless, each time I bumped into the spacecraft, it sent me flying, but slowed its spin a bit. With only a few drops of EVA thruster fuel left, the ship was finally slow enough, and I got lucky enough with the timing, to grab onto the ladder and enter the capsule. Success!
Yay!
I still had some intact fuel tanks left, but the engines had been destroyed in the impact. I could use my thrusters to adjust my trajectory, but that was about it. I was bummed that this was a scenario, because if it had been the campaign, I would have been able to continue on with the rescue mission. I had to be content knowing that I miraculously managed to get Jeb back into his spacecraft after the lunar impact. I've tried to recreate the mountain clipping since, but I can never get it just right. I always hit too hard and vaporize the whole thing. Try it. It's a lot harder than you thought it would be. I guess I just got unlucky the first time. Homer to your mobile, Nathania.
Nathania lucky.
Yeah.
How's that? That's funny.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. You know, going if you set your orbit really low above the surface, yeah, stuff goes shooting by. Mm-hmm. What'll get you though is if you're not careful and you set your orbit too low and you go right into the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
What's bad about that is you're sitting there and you're watching and the ground is shooting by you and you're thinking, oh, this is cool. And then it starts rising. Mm-hmm. And you start thinking,
this is a little close. I don't know.
And then you kind of, it's like you crane your head and you look forward, like you were talking about with Sonic, you look ahead and you go, oh, here comes a mountain.
Yeah.
So, and right about the time you acknowledge that there's a mountain coming towards you, you hit it. Mm-hmm. Because that's about as much, that's about as far as you can see.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those, by the time you notice that the ground is coming up, it's too late to do anything, usually. Now that I've said that, somebody's going to write in and go, oh, no. See, I immediately...
Just do a barrel roll.
Yeah. What you need is a rollie.
Yeah.
Haywood Floyd was mentioned in Andy M's letter, and I said that we have a letter. And here it is. This is called, the title of this is The Grandmaster of Misleading Mooner Mock Explosions. I'm not going to say that more than once. From Haywood Floyd. Hey, Amy, Biff, and Nos. Episode 41 was again a great show. Thanks. Biff was explaining that he wouldn't like to live where his rocket debris is crashing down. Well, guess what? This is actually happening to some people in Kazakhstan who are unfortunate enough to live right under the ascent profile. That's not good.
Yeah.
Occasionally, some second stage drops through a roof.
Oh.
Really? You'd think they would kind of plan around that a little bit.
Yeah.
But unable to change anything about it, they happily use in their everyday life whatever falls down. Wow, talk about lemons and lemonade.
Yeah.
I first heard about this in a documentary a few years ago. The movie is called Space Tourists, and it deals with, space tourism, but from quite different angles. People fulfilling their lifelong dream of going into space, but also how other people live off these dreams in a very different way. Yeah, debris crashing through the roof would be a different way.
Yeah, a little different experience. Yeah.
Can you imagine? It'd be like, the first stage of a rocket crashes through your roof and you're sitting there going, I'm living the dream.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm going to make that into a nice cabinet. Hey, honey, we got a new TV stand.
Honey, look at the rocket bell. Do you need a new ball? A really big ball? Yeah. Like a ball we could live in? Okay. And then there is the story of the first stage debris. This usually drops down in an unpopulated scrub zone. Well, I hope so. And highly specialized metal dealers with truck convoys go hunting down these stages because of the expensive titanium alloy metals. But here comes the most bizarre part of the story. Now comes the bizarre part.
I was waiting for the bizarre part.
Yeah, because, everything up to this point was totally normal.
Yeah, I've been pretty average.
After finding the debris, first thing they do is search for a certain piece. Oh, good Lord. I promise I was not reading ahead. I promise. The first thing they do is search for a certain piece that has the shape of a cooking pot. I promise I did not read ahead.
Yeah.
And they cook a tasty, I can't pronounce that, a tasty stew in it. I can highly recommend the movie, but probably not the stew.
I don't even know what's going on anymore. What? I'm gonna have to watch this. I'm gonna watch this. It's gonna turn out to be nothing of what he's talking about.
Mutton stew with a nice rocket fuel base.
Yeah.
Like, taste the formaldehyde. On more, I promise I did not. I mean, I was joking when I was talking about using the engine bell as a cook pot.
Yeah.
And then here he's talking about, wow.
Yeah.
That's not, honestly, that's not the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
We've had stuff like that happen with the letters before.
Uh-huh.
What's bad is when I make a joke thinking that what I'm saying is so absurd that there's no way it could possibly ever be true.
Yeah. It's like, no, people do that because people are people.
People actually do that. On more Kerbal-related terms, I had the pleasure of watching your longtime listener and audio letter aficionado, Andy M., playing KSP. Oh, this is funny. It's looping.
Yeah.
Andy talked about Haywood, and now Haywood's talking about Andy.
We're going full circle here.
Yeah. Boy, this is the infinite improbability drive.
Yeah.
We need like two pieces of talking
Yeah, this
furniture.
episode's kind of weird.
Yeah, it really is. Well, it started out with a board game.
Yeah.
And it's all downhill from there. We started out with we started our audio podcast out with something visual. So that shows you the
we watched a YouTube video.
Yeah.
We have people writing each other.
Yeah.
We're going to start off the letters, hey, Andy M. And then his audio editor's going to be like, hey, Haywood Floyd. And then eventually we're just going to be a vessel for them being pen pals.
I think we're redundant. I think we're slowly becoming redundant pieces.
Yeah.
There was a short sci-fi story I read years ago. It was when sysadmins ruled the world, and it was basically everything had crashed. Like the whole world had just crashed and burned.
Mm-hmm.
And what was left of the internet was spam software talking to each other. Which I thought was
That's
funny.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of, you and I are slowly, pretty soon this podcast will just be spam software talking to each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we'll be describing it. I had the pleasure of talking to Andy M. playing KSP. He was kind enough to let me peek into his game while he was doing 2 contracts with unmanned probes. Land one on Mun and send the other one into orbit around Minmus. What can I say? He truly is a grand master of misleading mock explosions. Well, I said it again, even though I said I wouldn't. So he makes this perfect retrograde approach down to Mun, and I suddenly wonder why his landing legs just go to about 1/3 of the craft's lengths. He has only little fuel left and will probably jettison the stage soon, such that the legs will make contact perfectly. Yep, there goes the final stage. Oh, wait. No engine left on the craft. And he's already going down at 20 plus meters per second. He uses the RCS engines to burn retrograde. The fact that I hadn't yet considered using them for low-gravity landing proves that I am still a novice, and that a lot can be learned from watching others play, which is something we talked about.
Yeah.
Anyway, down he goes. A little too fast, maybe, but then he touches ground and miraculously bumps up again, starting an extensive head-over-heels dance in which the craft tumbles quite severely. But he always manages to put the lander upright for the bumping. That sounded real bad. And finally, the lander comes to rest. Only now I realize how tense I was watching this landing unfold. Time to relax. Wait, what's he doing now? Up he goes again. Slow at first, and I can only assume that he has to get closer to the landing spot. Then he goes faster and faster. 10 meters a second, 15, 20, accompanied by a chat message saying, maybe I shouldn't push my luck. Mm-hmm. Truer words spoken, because in the next seconds, the lander crashes down and boom, explodes. I am already thinking about typing some consoling words when I notice it's still in one piece. And it goes on tumbling, and now really comes to rest. While Andy gives his final relaxed comment, it was just the thermometer that blew.
That's a close shave right there.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I was unaware thermometers could blow. Well, needless to say, I had great fun. Sounds like Andy did too. So thanks again to Andy for letting me watch, and I sure hope he doesn't mind me giving out all the details. Big thanks also to the Kerbalcast crew for doing such a great job every week. As you said yourselves, you have really become a hub, and you have gathered a community of really nice people around you. Homer to your mobile, Haywood Floyd. Again, I want to second that.
Yeah.
I mean, really, seriously, we rely heavily on the community.
Yeah.
And, I like to think that Nos and I mean, we are just kind of, we are kind of the hub. Mm-hmm. We're not here to be the stars. We want you guys to be the stars.
Yeah.
We want this to be where people come and voice their opinions and share their experiences.
Yeah. In order to have something like this, somebody just has to be, the people who relay it. And, we're just...
That's us.
Willing to do it.
We're the vessels.
Yeah.
We're the board game playing vessels.
Speaking of board game,
of which...
Next letter is from Bryce W., titled Kerbal Board Game. Hello, Biff, Nos, and
really?
Hopefully Amy. Yeah. Been a long time listener to the podcast. However, this is my first letter. Well, welcome. Welcome, Bryce. When you were talking about Kerbal board games, I got an interesting idea of a game that would be to recreate the R&D as well as the rocket building process. Overall, the game board would look something like Monopoly. Instead of having properties there would be a variety of rocket parts around the board. Players would compete to get the most or best parts for their ship. After all the parts were brought up or researched, players would build their ship and tally up points based on how many design requirements they fulfilled. Has fuel tank, engine, parachutes, etc. Whoever builds the best ship wins. Additionally, the game could incorporate small parts that snap together like Legos so you could admire the creation you've made. Thanks, and Homer to your mobile, Bryce W.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, next letter we have, this one actually came in last week. North Star had written a letter last week. And we try and keep the number of letters balanced so that Nos reads the same amount of letters that I read.
Uh-huh.
And we had an odd number of letters last week. So we went ahead and held this one over. But this is a story from North Star. And again, if you have not friended him on Steam, strongly recommend that you do. North Star 1989. Watch him. You will learn quite a bit, trust me. From North Star, Dear Biff and Nos, greetings and salutations. I thought you and your listeners might be amused by my latest mission progress. It all started with a typical MUN mission. My command service module and lander had rendezvoused and docked in low Kerbin orbit, and were on their way to the MUN together, as was a refueling tanker, when Amy Kettlewell added me on Steam before my latest play session. Oh, that's funny. Now they're going to be talking to each other.
Yeah.
We're just the vessels. After a short conversation, I convinced Amy to watch my attempt at a MUN landing, and I do not think it left her short of mistakes or laughs. The first of these came when I tried to separate my command service module and lander in lunar orbit to prepare the lander for docking with a refueler tanking. Wait a minute. With a refueling tanker.
Oh.
A refueler tanking.
Refueler. That would be what I do.
That's what I would call like a hard landing. A refueling tanking. I hit the undock button on the context menu. And then nothing happened. So I loaded up the save and tried again. Same result. Long story short, my attempts to separate the two led to an iterations of what I can best call Kerbal StarCraft candlepin bowling. Okay. As I attempted to gently ram my refueling tanker into the two craft to separate them, which led to the tanker gently bouncing off the lander, but to no effect. Eventually, I managed to separate the two by activating time warp and relying on floating point errors in craft location to get around the docking port bug. But this was not the least of my worries. Refueling went smoothly, and I think I left Amy with her share of oohs and ahs watching me dock my spacecraft together. However, my next obstacle came after refueling, when I looked at the delta V of my lander. Lo and behold, I had less than 1,800 meters per second of delta V on my lander. Now, you may be thinking, that's plenty of fuel for a lunar landing North Star. But I play with the real solar system, 6.4x, where the much higher orbital velocity of the Mun results in a delta V cost of nearly 2,000 meters per second for a landing from a 200-kilometer orbit. Luckily, I was in an elliptical orbit with a periapsis of around 40 kilometers, and I had some hydrazine, Real Fuels RCS propellant. Remember I told you he uses different...
Yeah. I hope he's got a prescription for that hydrazine.
Yeah. It's... When he was building his rifle bullet, he was explaining to us, I'm using lighter weight fuels in the upper stages and heavier weights in the bottom. And I mean, I was watching it going,
Sure.
Yeah. It was like, well, I mean, A, I don't have that mod installed.
Yeah.
But B, that would never occur to me. So, of course he's explaining this and I'm going, yeah, I do that all the time. Not. Let's see. Okay, had some hydrazine as well, and so I decided to give it my best shot anyway. This didn't turn out exactly well, or this didn't exactly turn out well. In a typical North Star moment, I quick saved during the landing, only to discover I had saved my final burn for far too close to the ground. That's the worst.
Yeah.
As a result, I ended up in a loop of constant crashes into the ground that I could not possibly avert. So... Amy got to see me bowl, got to see me dock, and got to see me crash. I got to hunt down an old backup save and try it all over again later that day. Regards, North Star. Wow, I've been there.
Yeah.
Let's see, do you have any more letters, or is it on to tweets?
I got the tweets.
You got the tweets.
First tweet's from This is Alex Boyd.
Yes.
You do know the asteroids are continually and randomly generated. You can't visit all of them.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah. So could you, just keep pulling them in orbit and make, a little asteroid belt around the Mun or something?
I know. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. So at Matthias Struble, did you know Kerbalcomics.com? I just discovered it while searching for the I Explode Kerbal shirt.
I was unaware of that. I'm going to look for that,
Yeah, Kerbalcomics.com. At Mittenpo, oh crap, the Kettlewell settings got harder. Installing real solar system. And if you want to add him, his Steam name is Mittenpo.
M-I-T-A-N-P-O?
You got it.
Okay.
At Zell_man, your listeners are all drunk now, Biff. Oh, hey, I don't even know what you're going to say next, but that's true. It's not Patreon, it's Patreon. Pay rhymes with hey. Ha-ha.
You know what just makes me laugh, though? You and I were both saying Patreon.
Yeah,
well,
Patreon.
No, initially we were saying, what were we saying? I don't remember now.
Patreon.
I think we were saying Patreon,
yeah.
And then they said, no, it's tree, and so we were saying
Patreon.
Patreon, and now we know it's Patreon.
Patreon.
We were both saying
Yeah. But I like how you get called out.
I get called out.
At Cobman11, Biff, quit typing incriminating search terms. Here's the elusive farting RCS video, and we will provide the link.
And we will also...
And we've been doing that for 42 episodes now, really, if you think about it.
Well, that's true.
At Mike Doling, damn it, Biff, it's Patreon, not Patreon.
See, he didn't say Nos.
Yeah.
He said Biff.
Because it just sounds great when I say it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's because if they're doing a drinking game of it, they want to cut it in half. They don't want to completely get rid of it.
Yeah, that's true. Are you going to do that bit about how Kerbalcast doesn't endorse binge drinking?
Just don't drink and try to land. That's my problem. At Dan Brimstone, you should check out the Outer Planets mod next. It adds Kerbal analogs to Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto to the game. At Tarpon97, there's a monolith visible from KSC if you know where to look. And at Mohuju.
Okay, I'm going to remember that phrase about how you just blew through these names without a hitch?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to withdraw that phrase.
Love the show. Quick pronunciation tip. Patron is equal to Patreon.
Nos.
Yeah.
No, see, that was directed at you.
Oh, okay.
Since my name wasn't on there, it was directed at you.
Oh, okay.
By default, I'm sending that one to you.
It's like no answer's a yes.
Yeah.
No name
Apparently.
mentioned is a nos.
That's right. Unless it's like praise.
That's it for the tweets.
That's it for the tweets. If you would like to hear what Amy sounds like, Amy K as a Kerbal, you are in for a treat. Do you want to do the do you want to do the synopsis, or do you want me to just roll it?
When we last left a Kerbal Life, there
the Kerbal
was
universe and everything Kerbal.
A cave.
There was a cave,
and there was a girl.
There was a girl in a cave,
and you got to clean up your place.
When did this turn into Fargo?
There was
the girl in the cave,
yeah.
And there was the fricassee too. Yeah.
And then that's it.
And it's all quiet here at the newsroom today as the KSC has maintained complete silence. With nothing interesting going on anywhere else, we can only hope that somewhere something interesting is happening and try and get excited about it. Mission Control to Mooner 1. Jeb, how are you doing up there?
We've finished cleaning up the lander. Can we go home now?
That's a negative, Jeb. We're gonna have to get you to go back out to that cave and talk to the Kerbal you found.
Really? But why?
Why? Jeb, you found a Kerbal in a place no Kerbal has ever known to have been. And to top it all off, it's a girl. There's lots of reasons why.
Copy that, MC. We're on our way. MC, we're approaching the cave now. What do we have to ask her?
Well, ask her how she got there, how long she's been there.
Copy that.
Oh, and Jeb, don't tell her you'll take her home.
We won't? Why not? Surely we can't strand her on the mud in a cave.
Well, for starters, there's only one ladder on the ship, and Bob's gonna be holding on to that on the way home. Bob's gonna what?
Understood. We're going in now. Hello? Kerbal lady?
I didn't hear anything, Jeb.
Hello?
Morning? Ah! Now calm down, all I said was morning. Wait, you're Kerbals?
Kerbals, yes. Yes, we are Kerbals.
Well, I'll be. I thought no one was going to come back for me. Did everyone get there okay?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Get where?
To the new colony. Isn't that where you came from to find me?
Colony? Well, we thought we were the first Kerbals in space. Where did you come from? And you're a girl. Why are you a girl?
Why am I, Okay, I can see where this is going, and we're going to go round and round, both getting more confused. So let's just start over. Hi, I'm Val.
Hi, I'm Jeb, and this is Bob.
Hi.
What's your name?
Nice to meet you, boys. Now, just for fun, let's start over. Where did you come from?
Well, Kerbin. Where else would we have come from?
There's still Kerbals on Kerbin? I thought they'd all gone after... never mind.
Okay. Now you know where we came from. Where did you come from?
When we fled Kerbin in the Great Exodus, I was trying out a Kerbal alarm clock given to me by the MODs, but I forgot to set it, so I fell asleep, must have hit something, and my ship crashed here on the Mun.
Great Exodus? So there are more Kerbals in space? Wait, you must have been here a very long time for us to not know about any of this. How are you still alive without food or oxygen?
Oh, the MODs never installed life support.
So where's your ship?
You didn't see it? Half of it's buried in the lunar surface not far from here. It doesn't work, though.
So where are the rest of the Kerbals in your, Great Exodus?
No idea. They were off to find a spot to make a new colony outside the Kerbin system. Hey, I've been here a long time. Can you take me home to Kerbin? I assume Kerbin is safe now.
Kerbin? I'm curious and slightly worried by your question, but as far as I know, it's safe, yes? but we can't take you home. The pod only fits me, and we only have one ladder on the outside, which Bob needs to hold on to.
For the record, Bob is very happy to give up his part in this terrifying plan to return home.
You can't, Bob. The MOD has installed life support for us, so we need to breathe. You wouldn't survive here. We'll make sure someone gets sent back to you, Val. In the meantime, maybe you should come back to the lander with us to talk with our MC.
Sure.
Lunar 1 to Mission Control. MC, we've got quite a story for you.
A Kerbal Life was written by Amy Kettlewell with music by Lee Rosevere. Jebediah Kerman and Kerbal Space Program were created by Squad. The game is available for purchase on Steam or KerbalSpaceProgram.com.
And Amy has a little side thing that she wanted to add. She says, if you want an additional challenge, Val, or Valentina, mentions that she has a crashed ship on the moon.
Yeah.
Crash ship on the Mun.
On the Mun.
Amy tells me that there is an Easter egg game of a crashed ship on the Mun.
Yeah.
And her challenge is for listeners to find it, and if you do, tweet out a pic of it.
There we go.
So it's as you said, it's interesting that she's claimed that as Val's ship now.
Yeah. Now, if you can get also in the picture with it, if you can have a lander that seats one Kerbal, but two Kerbals are there, it's only better.
You know, that was Amy. We don't. I've told you this before. Amy sends us the scripts, and so we don't know what's coming from week to week. She had told me because I had really been caught off guard. I was not expecting a female Kerbal to be on the Mun.
Yeah.
When she did when Jeb touches down on the Mun for the first time and finds the smiley face. I know I've said this before, but I was truly convinced that what she was going to do was it was a leftover Kerbal knot from an earlier update of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I really, truly thought that's where she was going with it. And instead, it turned out it was Valentina, which was perfectly timed because Squad had just announced Valentina. In the game.
Yeah.
And so when she sent in the next script, I was going, okay, how exactly, considering that the pod only holds one Kerbal knot and Bob was hanging onto the outside of it, how are they going to leave with three now? And she said, don't worry, I've got that covered.
Yeah.
And she said to me very cryptically, because she knows I'm a big fan of the rebooted Battlestar, she said it's very Battlestar Galactica.
So look forward to seeing what's going to happen with that.
And, then, of course, when they got into the whole Great Exodus thing, and, the idea that Kerbal is kind of like this leftover, like the other quote-unquote tribes have gone out there after some great catastrophe or great exodus or whatever. But anyway, I thought that was really cool. And also, Amy did the lines for Valentina, and it was really interesting to hear her Kerbalized.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as you said, she already speaks at a higher pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So to Kerbalize it...
Yeah, the guys that do the voices for, I guess all of them have been guys except for Carmen.
Yeah.
Have... they have like a lower register, so whenever they get Kerbalized, it goes up a little.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Anyway, so that's cool. The music that you hear in there is from Lee Rosevere, and I wanted to mention, because we didn't talk about this last week, but if you would like to find the music, go to freemusicarchive.org/music/Lee_Rosevere. And Amy's the one who found that music. And it's very good, very, very appropriate.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess that wraps it up, unless you want to play another
another round. No, I think it ties a good place. If one of us won, then the other person would be bitter and wouldn't want to show up to the next one. Or
That's
something.
true. That's true. It is kind of cool that we ended up tying.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we go, I have to. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
I was trying to do
whatever you're doing. You got to cue it up.
Okay, there we go. Much better.
You got to let that out. Better out than in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been holding that in for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and do our thanks very quickly. First of all, we would like to thank all of our listeners and our regular contributors, and that includes, obviously, Amy K., who does Kerbal Life for us every week.
We also want to thank everyone who sent us letters and tweets.
And also, as I had mentioned, I have been getting a lot of use out of the links that you can find at the subreddit Kerbal Academy. I also enjoy going to the subreddit for Kerbal Space Program. Lots of good conversations going on there. So check those out, Kerbal Space Program and Kerbal Academy. Both of those subreddits, we forgot to mention them last week, which was my bad, but they have a link to us on their front page, and we do appreciate that.
Music for A Kerbal Life is provided by Lee Rosevere. You can find him at freemusicarchive.org/music/Lee_Rosevere. Or is it back or forward slash? I can never tell.
They're forward slashes.
They're forward slashes.
Because they lean forward.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I see
that's why you lose an hour every year, but then...
Yeah.
But then with a backslash, you gain an hour every year.
Or you cross the time zone and you just negate it.
That's true.
And episode music comes to us from Professor Soap. Look for him on Facebook or at profsoap.com.
And a big thank you to Ascalon. He posts episodes every week of Kerbalcast to YouTube to take advantage of the voice recognition and the auto-closed captioning. If you would like to get in touch with us, you can contact us at kerbalpodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at Kerbalcast.
And you can also subscribe to us on iTunes, and all episodes of Kerbalcast can be found at kerbalpodcast.libsyn.com.
You can find us on Steam as Biff Aldrin and Nostromo. If you would like to find Amy, it is AOUMI83. She sent me a tweet, because last week I said it was a funny spelling of Amy. She wrote me back. She is fluent in Japanese. Apparently it means blue ocean.
Oh.
But I promptly corrected her, and I said, no, it's a funny spelling of Amy.
Aomi. Aomi.
Aomi.
Aomi.
I can't wait to see what closed captioning does with that. But anyway, and also, again, recommend try and find North Star on Steam, North Star 1989. If you would like to support Kerbalcast, you can donate to us at...
a website where you can donate those things.
And let's see, it is... it's Paytree... Aomi 83. No, and we'll have a link to this on our website, but it is patreon.com, and then just search for Kerbalcast. So anyway, that wraps it up for episode 42, A Kerbal Life, the Kerbal Universe, and Everything Kerbal. Our command module pilot today, our CMP, is...
Nostromo.
I am your LMP, that's Lunar Module Pilot. And until next time...
Happy Kerbaling. Oh, no. No. Are you going to stop? Are you going to...
Until next time...
Stop it.
Until next time...
Happy Kerbaling.